Hi there, this is my channel, Jaru Walks. In the year 2024, I will embark on an epic walking journey across the United States. My plan is to walk 8,000 miles across the US 3 times, via the Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, and the Continental Divide Trail. In the hiking world, this is known as a calendar year Triple Crown, and has only been completed by a handful of people in history. I plan to post weekly updates along the way, so you can join me for the journey. I think they don't look like Mark Zuckerberg shoes anymore. All right, I'm leaving this booby trap on the trail for Sparrow. It's a pirate ship. It's more of like a logical thing, just so he knows like that I'm kind of crazy and he shouldn't mess with me. He's taking the trail. That was the first night where I intentionally set my tarp up in the rain. I had one other night where I set it up and then it kind of sprinkled a little bit, but it wasn't too serious. And then it did rain all morning, or all in the late morning, kind of last night, and I somehow stayed dry. So cool to see that the tarp system actually works pretty well. Those who don't really know what I'm talking about, this is my ground mat. This is the tarp. I have it strung up. 3 little guy lines on the side, you can see staked out, but it's open on both ends, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Cape Cod style house. Welcome to Massachusetts. Holy cow, this section of the trail, there's so many blowdowns. It's hard to figure out where the trail's running. This section is horrible. I was looking on the map and it looked like a flat section. I was like, oh, sweet, finally I can cruise. And then it's just some storm or multiple storms have come through and just collapsed, I don't know, 15 or more trees across the trail where, I mean, if you look at it, there's no easy way through and you get stuck on everything. I'm not complaining. I'm just observing, like, it's just funny all the ways trails can throw challenges at you. Like, this should be a quick section, but it's turning out to be slow and kind of tedious. All right, so we're gonna do a little examination experiment. So look at these boards, the walking boards. So here's one, and then compare this perfectly cut one to this one. See how it's warped and curved? It's not straight, right? So clearly this one is like a modern cut piece of lumber. And then this is a tree probably that was cut down from out here in the forest and just sawed in place to be put out here for the purpose of the trail, right? So you just bring your saw out here and then cut the lumber. This is another old one. You can see it's curved. Look at this one. So I just want you to compare as we walk these old boards that are much older than the newer perfectly cut ones. And look at the difference in the condition. So you saw they're curved, right? But they're in good condition. Now look at this one, cracked. Look at this one. It's like a bear took a bite out of it. And you gotta wonder, you know, with all these cookie cutter American homes where they just stamp out neighborhoods, it's like do you think the wood that they used was old growth, high quality wood that's going to last, 2 centuries or a century or 75 years? Or do you think it's that stamped out crappy wood that'll warp and break in 20 or 40 years? I'm really fascinated to see with all these cookie cutter neighborhoods that are just so prevalent since like the 1980s, where the clear motivation is to make profit now, not to make a home that is the best for the home purchaser, in the long haul. It's to make a profit now and to minimize the costs now. These modern homes are the equivalent of plastic vacuum cleaners. And it's interesting to just think, like, what will happen to these stamped out neighborhoods in, let's say, 80 years? In 80 years, what do you think will be the condition of those houses if they're constructed of cheap 2x4s that today look good, but in, let's say, 20, 30, or 40 years are going to look like the boards that I just showed you that are pulverized? Do you think the person who comes along in the year 2064 is going to take a look at these cookie cutter homes and say, wow, let me go in there and replace all the boards and make this look like new? Or are they going to say, man, let's take this plastic vacuum cleaner and throw it in the trash can and build something new? These are the 2x6-inch boards, which are decent. And the old growth wood that they use out here and recycle to make boards are probably more like a 2x8. And then you gotta imagine someone somewhere along the way said, wait, why don't we just get 2 2x4s, which is what this is. Look how destroyed that is. There's another one. Look at that. Because they're like, we'll save so much money if we just do 2 2x4s and we'll get an 8-inch plank. But in reality, you're actually better off with a 2x6 than these crappy 2 2x4s, because at least the 2x6 doesn't warp and then snap. And it literally looks like someone came and did like a bombing run on these boards. And I really think that modern America is largely comprised of decisions like that. America has become a country of sleek presentations, advocating for the 2x4s, 2 2x4s instead of one 10-year lasting old growth piece of wood. How much better life is when you have something built properly. But instead, modern America has just become the plastic vacuum cleaner society. You're a nice doggy. We know you're nice. I love this sign up here. It says, no snowmobiles beyond this point. And then beyond that point, we have Massachusetts, some kind of a war memorial. And then the AT continues up this way. But the thing that I love about that no snowmobile sign, it's just funny that clearly that was necessary. There's a reason it's there, I'm sure. But the thing that's funny about it is Fritz Sprandell, who I met hitchhiking, the guy that canoed and got captured in Cuba. One of his he had 3 or 4 crazy life pursuits. And another one was he rode a snowmobile from Washington, all the way across the United States back to Pennsylvania. And at one point he went from the northern half of, I'm just gonna go this way for fun real quick. He went from the northern half of Michigan down to the southern tip of Michigan, southern peninsula, and there's a bridge that connects those two. And that bridge specifically, literally at no point in the year does it allow snowmobiles to traverse it. So he, being Fritz, of course, proceeded to ride a snowmobile across it, I guess, in the middle of the night. And then at some point someone questioned his accomplishment because they're like, well, how did you go across Michigan? And he explains to them, well, you know, I went across in the middle of the night, even though it's technically illegal. And I guess he had gotten some kind of Guinness record or some kind of record recognition that they then revoked because he technically did that portion illegal and they didn't want to sanction that. And so when I saw that no snowmobiling sign, I just laughed because I know that if Fritz rode his snowmobile up Mount Greylock, there's no way that sign would stop him. So that's what we got. We are cruising with the sunset. I love a good sunset hike where you're way up on a ridge and you can, I mean, trust me, it's way prettier in person. The colors are just astounding over there. If I can focus on it. I didn't change anything. Anyway, I just love it when I can look out on the next ridge over and see the sun setting. Like the exact minute the sun sets. I've probably had that happen, I don't know, 15 times this whole hike so far. Always a treat. Clouds about to extinguish the sun. Come on, let's get the colors right. $8.49. Not bad. All right, I am at the Shop and Save in Williamstown, Massachusetts, seated on a giant stack of potting soil. And yeah, I got in here at 8:50, and then when I walk into the grocery store, they announce like they're closing in 10 minutes, and they're not kidding. I'm like, oh wow. So I like just did a mad dash around the grocery store trying to find stuff. And I think I probably got like 4,000 calories worth of food of the essential things that I wanted to get from the grocery store. And my plan was to make up the remainder of the calories by going to a McDonald's down the road and just packing food out. And anyway, I got outside and I tried to order an Uber, figuring like that's a college town over there, and there's like a residential neighborhood, like not neighborhood, but like a town right over here. You would think between the two of them that there would be some Uber driver available. There was nobody available. So then my next thought was, maybe in Far Out I can find a shuttle driver. And so I go into Far Out and I find on the city icon there's one shuttle driver in the city. I call, it rings 5 times, and then a lady picks up, and her name's Cindy, and she's coming to pick me up now to take me to the McDonald's, where I'm just gonna order like something like 5,000 calories of food, some of which I'll eat and some of which I'll just pack out. So feeling good and grateful for Far Out and for Cindy. So it's funny how, yeah, I just, in my head, what was going to happen was I was going to go into the grocery store. I was going to shop a little bit after 9. It was going to be fine. And then I was just going to order an Uber over to the McDonald's. But then there ended up being all this suspense. So quite happy with how things turned out. And if I move quickly, I might be able to get back on trail and get like 4 more miles in tonight. So feeling good. Who put that there?